Welcome to Rich Conversations. Today we'll chat with Evan Salone. This was a really great time. I had so much fun. It's a great vibe going into the weekend too. Evan is awesome and he's funny and he's very open and it was just a fantastic time. I appreciate him. You can follow Evan at EVSal17. Let's begin. All right, so we have Evan here. The last time we saw each other was at a warehouse party during NBA All-Star Weekend. How long ago does that feel?
It feels like ages ago. Even like last week feels like it was like a year ago. It's ridiculous.
Oh man, so how are you doing?
Man, I'm doing okay. I mean, basically just been chilling. Yeah, haven't been trying to like move as minimally as possible.
Like, you mean like outside and stuff, or?
Yeah, just like even just every day, like within my house. Like, all right, let's see the fewest times I can like leave my room. Because if not, I would be crazy by now. I'd be like restless, just like pacing all day. Like I'm just like chill, relax.
Yeah, that's a wise approach. So what's the fewest amount of times you've moved?
I've probably been a whole day like once, maybe out of the room.
Yeah.
It's like I got like snacks. I got phone, computer, my TV's right here. Open the door, like chill out with the dog. It's like
living the life.
Oh yeah, dude, it's dream sets.
What neighborhood are you in?
Like Lakeview, Lincoln Park.
Okay.
If you've ever been to my house, it's where I am right now. Like I moved out of Corcoran into this place like in 07.
Oh wow.
Yeah, dude.
How many years ago was that?
13 years this summer.
Wow. So you like that spot then?
I do. It's been working out really well.
Yeah. So how would you normally spend your time?
So I have been before this was working at a restaurant, and so I worked and as a manager. So my usual hour is supposed to be like 10 hours is what I'm contracted or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That obviously turns into like 12, 13 hours a day. So I would spend a lot of time at the restaurant. Otherwise, just like working out, going out to eat, hanging out with friends minimally. But really, like work was consuming a lot of my life and time for the last few years. So this has definitely been a contrast. And I've been using these opportunities to just relax. Like I was kind of feeling restless in the beginning. And I realized I'm like, okay, everything happens for a reason. Like, use this as like a reset. Enjoy the time. Don't worry about all those stresses. Just like let that go. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people I talk to, it's kind of like there's like no one answer. Like people, this is like a very unique time, and people are just using it however they see fit. So whether it's like relaxing or whether it's like working on something that they've been passionate about, but they're trying to develop it more. Like everybody just is doing what they need to do.
For real, man.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
I haven't felt guilty at all about not doing that. I haven't been the person who's like taught myself how to bake bread. I'm like, I know how to cook. I'm pretty good with those, those kitchen skills. I am surrounded by food all the time in my normal life, so I've just been.
Describe the restaurant you work at for listeners.
So I worked at Sunda New Asian in River North. So it's been around for like 11 years. They do different, parts of Asian cuisine, a lot of Japanese, Chinese, Filipino influence. So they're known for like sushi, but they also do different like noodle dishes, different rice dishes.
You got some pretty nice cocktails there too, right?
That as well. So yeah, I have a background in the bar, in the mixology side. So I help out with the bar team, putting together their, regular cocktails, just supporting the staff that way. It's weird, dude. I actually just had a Zoom call with like almost the entire staff a couple days ago now, and that was so trippy, dude. Like seeing everyone, I'm like, oh my, like there's this has affected a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome call. I mean, basically the owner, Billy Deck, the founder, and our COO were on there just to kind of like trying to reassure people, talking a little bit about what things look like moving forward.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, like when we get back to normal, um, like restaurant life looks completely different
Completely different.
than anything. It's not just like going back to an office where it's like, all right, I was already 6 feet away from whoever every day, and now I just get to go back to work. But like, it's constant interaction, constant like it's about being close to people. And
Being
my job
social. Yeah.
as a manager, yeah, is like I get paid to invade your space and kind of like
Hmm.
I I'm meant to be and touch like every single inch of the restaurant. So it's kind of weird to think about how that role changes. There's, they were talking about how they've changed the menu because it's a family style concept where like food comes out as it's ready. So like you're
Yeah.
meant to share everything. They also do this thing called the Kamayan feast, which is like a big communal feast, like in
Hmm.
the middle of the restaurant. Like there might be like up to 30 people eating together, no utensils, everything's just like what you use your
Yeah.
hand. So it's like the opposite at those communal tables.
Yeah.
For the Kamayan thing, you don't have utensils, and it's kind of like the opposite of what you're supposed to be doing these days, or what you
Yeah.
think about moving forward. So they have to take an approach to like address those things in their
Mhm.
service style. It's a weird time, man.
Yeah. I bartend a couple nights a week at Lincoln Station.
Yeah,
Um, so the other day, our owner called like every single person and was just talking with them and everything. And we're kind of like implementing a plan to like go back, and it's kind of like getting the band back together again. And actually, one of our cooks in the back, Felipe, he called me yesterday and he was just like, "I miss you," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know,
yeah,
man.
man.
Dude,
I
this
had
is
staff
yeah,
called me. They were like, I'm out of town. I'm chilling. They're like, I don't know. Like, are you gonna go back?
yeah." It's it'll
It's
be
nice. Like,
interesting with the restaurants coming back in Chicago. We'll see how it goes.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's weird.
So
It's like forever. I felt like I've had a certain kind of job security that like in my field. It's like no, you'd think what I used to say. It's like nobody's gonna stop going out to restaurants no matter what. Like
yeah,
you know, you might switch banks or whatever, but like if that was like a constant
yeah,
stream, and I had that security. Now that I realize, it's a kind of false security.
yeah. The one thing that can
Right.
like
I thought I was like, oh my
upend
god,
restaurants.
I'm recession proof, like whatever.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, it'll be really cool to see how it bounces back.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hopeful. What's something new you're doing or feeling during the pandemic that has surprised you?
Dude, I I've like listened to your podcast before, and it's been interesting to like hear some of the things. One new thing that I've done during this time is connecting with my family a lot more.
Okay.
Um, so usually like I have a huge family, and we use like holidays to come together.
Hmm.
My dad's side of the family does like a yearly trip to Vegas, and that's kind
Okay.
of
Wow.
become
Yeah.
like a family reunion kind of. So in this time, we've gotten together like every couple weeks, like my dad's side on a Zoom call, and my aunt and I have been putting together different games that we play each time. So the first time we had like a list of things. We did kind of like a scavenger hunt. I would just be like, all right, who can find me, a mask or like different items that like you might have in quarantine.
Yeah.
Make them like run, throughout their houses to like find whatever item, and like the first person to bring it would get points or whatever. But the last time was really interesting. We made a kind of quiz, and it was like multiple choice type thing based on just facts about our family. So we'd be like, this uncle, what's his real name? He's called Bill, but what's his real name? His real name's like Earl, but he got the nickname Bill because he was like such a wild kid. They called him Bill after Wild Bill.
Oh wow.
I never knew this, but like it was an opportunity for like different family members to like learn about the history of the family, get to share stories. So that was incredible. So we actually have one tomorrow. I got to figure out what we're gonna be doing.
That's so cool. So you just have this organized on Zoom, and like how long does it take? Is it like a
So the plan is like an hour. It always takes like 15-20 minutes for everyone to like, get in there and like settle in.
yeah.
Um, but so it goes like an hour and a half to like 2 hours.
Oh, dude, that's so fun. I'm now like thinking of ideas of like what I can do with my immediate family. We're in like 4 separate locations, and it's like, oh, I wonder what we could do with that. That'd be kind of
Dude,
cool.
we're all over like since the first time I had like these games because like I used to be a camp counselor. I'm all about just like, all right, what can we do? Like, how can you make a game out of this? Or like having just
Yeah.
simple stuff. So we have games we haven't even got to like be like, all right, we're gonna move on to this, move on. It's just like all the time just flies by. So there's like a Pictionary game that I want to do.
Okay.
Try it out, dude.
Yeah, that's a great idea, especially for anybody listening too. Nice. I really like that. What music have you been listening to recently?
Um, so I haven't gone into the you know music of my past,
Uh-huh.
but I've been letting myself just go down every YouTube like wormhole. The
Yes.
Instagram like versus series
What is
has
it? What is it? What is it
so
called?
like the verse is like Timberland and like Swiss Beats, like it'll have like different people playing their catalogs on
Okay.
Instagram Live. So they've done a few of them. Erica Badu and Jill Scott is today, this evening.
So okay, so I see that trending on Twitter. It's
Yeah,
like Timbaland versus like Swiss Beats or something like that. And so it's just Instagram Live and you watch them side by side or like
yeah. So like they're like one is on top. Whoever won, I think how the rules have kind of developed. If you go into the other person's live, then you go first. So you play. They'll play like a minute and a half of a song, or like maybe they'll play most of the song, and then you want to come back with a song that like kind of beats it, like matches, the vibe, or like
oh yeah.
you might do like a theme thing. So like T-Pain and Lil Jon did one.
Okay.
That was pretty awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been incredible. So then that opens it up because there's certain artists I'm like, oh, I didn't know that this person produced this song, wrote this song. They get to talk about different things, and then you're like, all right, I'm gonna look up this artist, this artist, this artist.
Wow.
So that's opened it up a lot.
So and
I
you can
love,
find those on YouTube? They put the
yeah,
videos afterwards?
yeah.
Okay.
So there's like a whole, people doing commentary on them. So then you get to exposure to different artists that way as well.
That's
So
awesome.
there's that. I've been listening to that kind of music. I watched Dave on FX with like the rapper Lil Dicky,
Tell me
and
about that. I don't know what that is.
so Lil Dicky is like he's like a white Jewish rapper,
Okay.
and his kind of thing, his I don't know, I wouldn't call it a shtick. People might. His concept is like, how am I different?
Mhm.
What am I bringing to the game as a person who doesn't meet what you might think as like a rapper, but like I'm talented. So I would actually recommend people watch his show that just came out on FX. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
But it kind of goes along his story. So it's like a fictionalized version, but it's basically him trying to like make it, be successful, do some stuff. But he's immensely talented. So
Okay.
somebody was describing it the other day as like, I forget, it was like Eminem meets Weird Al or something like that. Because he's like the white rapper, and it's kind of like jokey, but like skills. Dude has like bars.
Okay.
So I've been online just like watching everything I can from him
That's awesome.
to learn a little bit about what he's about.
What are you most excited to experience again after the pandemic?
Definitely going out to restaurants
Yeah.
in that normal way. I think I keep thinking about like the first time I'll be able to go to like Big Star, and
Which one? The one in Wicker?
yeah, the Wrigleyville one, it's not there yet. It needs like a couple more years to like
Yeah,
work out
yeah, yeah. I
those
feel that.
kinks and like feel what it's
Dude,
supposed to feel like.
the other day I go on these random walks, and one day I just ended up in Wrigleyville, and it was like the first time I'd been in Wrigleyville for like years, like walk down Clark, and
Yeah,
I was just like, what is this place? There's all
right.
these new like, oh my
Oh,
gosh. I was like,
it's
they have Big Star here?
it's different. I went there. I went there like a little bit after it opened, and I was like, no, like they'll get it,
Yeah.
but not the same. But one of my favorite things is like go to Big Star for like a while,
Mhm.
and then go to Violet Hour for a little bit.
Nice.
That's like one of my favorite. So I want to experience that like normally, just like being able to be around people close. Like I don't care, because like that's the vibe. It's like we're
Yeah.
all partying, we're all having a good time.
Yeah.
Those kind of places like Parlor or Parsons.
Yeah. I
That's
dig
what
it.
I want to experience.
What's a personal mantra or philosophy that guides you?
Um, Good enough isn't. That's something I first heard about when I was like in 10th grade, and
Okay.
it's kind of like become just like a driving thing. Like I say it all the time, and it's not to mean like nothing you ever do is good enough.
Hmm.
See, it's good enough. But like nothing you ever, it's not to say like nothing you ever do is like never gonna, be the right thing. But it's like if you know within yourself that you could do more, it's like why not? Give it a little bit more. Give it
Yeah.
all you got to the point that I can be like I'm truly 100% proud of whatever I'm doing. So
Yeah.
that's
That's
my driving
awesome.
thing.
That's great. I like that. Good enough isn't. All right. So we're going to go a little bit more introspective now.
All right, dude.
Describe the best day of your life.
I had a hard time like pinpointing a specific date for like I've had a lot of great times and a lot of like great memories. I think one of the most influential days though was the day that I just like randomly came home at the right time. I ran into my roommate who was like on the phone, like he was a bartender at the time. And this was back when I like was working at Blockbuster Video.
Okay. Well, this is a long time ago then.
Yes, indeed. And I come home and he like gets a call from his manager and she's like, Our our door guy just quit. Do you have anyone who could like work tonight? And like maybe for like the next couple weeks until we find someone. And I was like, oh, I'll do it. Like I think usually, had it been any other time, he would have asked one of his friends in the industry.
Hmm.
But I was right there. He was like, oh, this dude can do it. That turned into like 2 years at that place, and how I got my foot in the door in working in restaurants, which I've been doing for like the last 10 years.
Wow.
So I don't think that, I don't know how I would have got in the industry otherwise. Like it wasn't on my radar. I wasn't thinking about, what am I going to bring to, like, how can I get
Yeah.
myself in there? Like, it just had, happened to be. And,
That's how it usually
totally,
is, I feel
like,
like.
what's that?
I feel like that's how it usually is in the service industry.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I just like totally locked into it. But that day, just like
Wow.
right place, right time. I remember he was like coming out of the laundry room like around my house, and just like perfect timing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's cool. What was the name of the bar?
I was the Black Duck, so it's now
Oh, I remember
called
that.
Willow Room. Yeah, dude.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I remember you working there. Yeah. Nice.
That was it. I was like, that was supposed to be like 2 weeks, and it turned into like almost that place.
Wow.
And just happened to be like right down the street from a list. So guys used to come and like talk to me. I was like, okay, like I'm working at a neighborhood place, but there's of like different restaurants that are like, this restaurant's like number one in the country, like top 10 in the world. So you get to learn about all this cool stuff before I'd ever seen it,
Yeah.
because I was still just like a couple years into living in Chicago, so I had no idea like what the restaurant scene was or could be.
Wow, that's
Just blew
cool.
up there, dude.
Oh, nice. What's your favorite travel experience?
And any time that I'm like close to anything that reminds me of my time growing up in Minnesota, so I love being outdoors. That's something I really miss about living in Minnesota, because like you can drive 15, 20 minutes in any direction and like be in the woods. Like, so really like my trips to, Hawaii or like Denver, like if I can just get outside and like go on a long hike, that's what I seek out when I travel.
So when you travel, you look for destinations that have some type of outdoorsy vibe to it.
Yeah, for sure. As much as like I like people go to different cities for like
Yeah.
restaurant or bar experiences or like shows. Like even when I go to Vegas, I try to like get out into
Oh,
the
really?
desert. Like yeah,
Wow. So it could be like a forest, it could be a desert, it could be I don't
yeah.
know, what's another natural thing? Water?
I mean, I haven't been to like the jungle yet, but like if I had that kind of opportunity, like I want to get hear some animals, see some things.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So it's
Yeah,
like you already live in a major city with an incredible restaurant scene. I want to see something that reminds me of home a little bit.
yeah. I think that's maybe like Denver would have probably been like one of my favorite travel experiences, because having lived in Chicago for a while, it was the first time that I was like, oh, this is like a city and it's like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, all right, I was like whitewater rafting yesterday, but now I'm just like at this really, really cool bar. Like,
Yeah. I dig Denver. I have an affinity for Denver. One of my close friends moved out there, and I helped him move out there. This was back
oh
in
yeah,
2015. And I've been there four times since 2015. And
dude, that's great.
it's great. Yeah, it's like it's a city, and then you drive 30 minutes, and you got the mountains right there, and
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty great. And obviously everybody knows that because it's like it's one of those cities that's just blown up, and like real estate's crazy expensive now, and it's pretty wild.
Yeah, I was there for the first time, like for my sister's her like husband's bachelorette party or
Mhm.
bachelor party. So it's like, yeah, that's where we were, and I was just like, all right, this is like perfect.
Yeah, but Chicago, man, Denver's great, but I mean, like every time I go somewhere, it's like I'm always thinking about Chicago again.
But
Does that ever happen to you?
it's not going anywhere.
What's that?
I said it's not going anywhere.
I know.
But no, I
Uh,
haven't I haven't even come close to like tapping into what is here in Chicago for me or for like anyone.
yeah,
I just like get like a little bit more every year.
I know. That's why I'm doing this. I'm just want to have conversations with people and just learn and be like, oh wow, that's interesting. I'm gonna go check that out now and blah
Yeah,
blah
dude.
blah. Yeah, I love it. What's the period of history you're most curious about?
Um, Whenever the pyramids were constructed, there's so much cool stuff that you like learn about or like that we have learned about. But I'm
Mhm.
like, but then the questions that have yet to be answered, like it's hard to wrap my head around. So like I'd love to see it. I'd love to like actually understand, like get those
Yeah.
answers. That'd be really cool. Like either way, like people or aliens, like I want to see, I want to understand it.
Yeah, like
How'd it
that.
happen,
What the pyramids? They were like 4,000 BC, right?
dude?
Or,
I don't know. I don't know math.
I don't know.
I like math, but I don't know dates.
Yeah,
History,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
question.
And they did it without the wheel and everything. It's like, wow.
I don't know. See, I just want to have a better understanding. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Was that the time? Was it before the wheel?
Yeah, I think so.
It's craziness, dude.
Yeah, like before they used the wheel for like massive architecture projects. Can you imagine being like a kid in ancient Egypt and you just see the pyramids and like no one actually knows, like there's just these like mysterious things there. It's like 2000 BC and you're just like, wow, look at those things.
I mean, they must have had something that they told, like, somebody's like, what's that? They're like, this is what it is, you know? And it probably meant
Yeah.
even more.
They didn't know much about the rest of the world. So if someone tells you like that's where God lives, you'd be like, yeah, wow, that's powerful.
Right?
That's wild. I like that. What's the most memorable scent in your life?
Ooh. My family used to travel from Minneapolis to Chicago, like, all the time. My mom's family's from here, like, my grandma, aunts are still here. And so there was, like, a distinct, like, smell. And it's thinking of it now, it's probably like that sewage kind of smell of like the streets. But we used to like, but it was like special to us when like we'd smell it like driving into the city.
Mhm.
My siblings would be like, "Oh, it's the Chicago smell," and it was like a kind of like a good thing because I knew like I was gonna be at my grandma's house and like what that kind of like let us know like what we had in store. Like we're
Wow.
here and like everything that came with that experience. So that is definitely a memorable smell. And then just
That's so
like
cool.
the smell of my grandma's perfume. I have no idea what it is. I should probably figure it out.
Mhm.
Probably make a good gift sometime. But sorry, my alarm. But yeah, whenever I'll smell it occasionally, like something close to it, and it's usually like I don't know, some older woman,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, my grandma wears that. But
Yeah, dude, I that's happened to me too, man. Yeah, grandma's perfume.
yeah, I should figure out what it is. It would be a simple call.
What about a sound?
I don't know if there's a particular like one sound. We used to have this music box in my house growing up, and I think like my sister either has it or like has a music box that plays the same song. I can't remember what it is, but like I can still like remember the feeling when I heard it,
Wow.
and like sometimes for some reason like I have weird dreams where like the the sound of it like or like maybe even the tempo of it like slowing down at the end like works its way into my dream somehow. Like I'm like I don't know I don't hear it, but I'm like I know that's what it is. It's like connected to that.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is interesting.
that music box, dude. What about
Isn't that
you?
okay, for sound?
Yeah.
So this one's um so this one goes back to when I was living homeless in Chicago. And there would be so I'd be sleeping outside in bushes, kind of like by the Lincoln Park Zoo.
Okay.
And the 151 bus runs all night. And I would just be laying in, wood chips and surrounded by trees. Well, there's a few particular spots, but from either of those spots, I could hear the bus stop and the hydraulics go down. You know that like and make that noise
Mhm.
that it does. And
Yeah.
so I'm surrounded by that. I hear it all the time, and it just reminds me of the city so much. Is that release of the hydraulics when it drops down to pick people up?
Interesting, dude.
Yeah,
I I have not read your book, but like I was following the whole process, and I definitely still mean to like read it.
you should.
But
It's a
like
good book.
I believe it. I feel like I feel already like connected to it because like I've known you for like a long time. Like
Yeah.
before, I feel like I saw you maybe during it, but like definitely after. and like you like breaking it down and building that whole project.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that was something that you did. Like it was really cool to like even know that you were doing that, and it's such like a rich thing. Just like, all right, I'm gonna learn so much, and like, but I want to like put myself in this thing. That was incredible.
Honestly, it's helped me a lot during this experience. So this last podcast I did this week, I talk about it, where this time it's reminded me of like in the shelter talking to this guy Curtis. So Curtis was supposed to be in prison for 18 years, but he got out in 6 and 3. And so he was always, whenever I saw him, he never talked to anybody. His head was down, and there were just stacks of papers and books all around him. And so one day I asked him, I'm like, how many books do you think you've read? He's like, probably 400. I used to read 3 books a week. And he was in prison, and he said there's not much else to do. And I was thinking, I had been thinking about life sentences. If I got life, I'd probably kill myself. And like without flinching, he was like, yeah, I know what you mean, but once you like accept that you're there and you accept that this is your new life, you find different ways of purpose. So some people become spiritual, some people read, some people educate children and teenagers about decision making, and some will like get really smart and they'll help out other people with their cases. They like study law and cases and they help out other people. So everybody like, and then he said, physical boundaries doesn't mean you're worthless. And that really struck me during this time where we're very physically limited. And if you can find purpose within this time, you can make the most of it, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just like what people don't understand about the homeless population is how mentally tough they are. You have to be so mentally tough, and they don't get enough credit for it. And now we're all being required and being asked to be mentally tough.
Right.
And you know, some people are having a hard time with that. And you know, I just think back to my experience that it was super tough, and it was even tougher like returning and all the other emotions I was dealing with, but it made me a stronger person. And so I'm using that, what I learned during that time, to apply to this time, you know?
Dude, that's incredible.
Read the book.
I feel like, okay, did you release like excerpts, right? Or you released like parts of it, right?
Oh yeah. So I mean, it was
like,
such a process.
Like, I feel like, what's that?
It was such a process. So the book came out like 2 years ago, and up until this point, I was like experimenting and like writing different stuff. And
like I read everything that you released of it. I read that, and I was like, oh, okay, this is like something so cool.
Yeah, and then I had this journal, and the journal was like over 100,000 words, and I sent it to my editor, and she's like, nah, you gotta cut out 2/3 of these characters. You gotta cut out 30,000 words. You gotta restructure this entire thing. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then I read the book Stephen King on writing. It's a great tool. And so I read that, and I was like, oh, I know how to write now. And then I started writing from like scratch, but I thought I would pull stuff from what I had already written. Yeah. And so I started doing that, and then I was just like, this isn't good enough. And then so I wrote what is the book now, Homeless But Human. It's just written from scratch, and it took 6 weeks. So that's like the
really
book. Yeah.
Okay. But I thought you didn't.
Yeah. So part of the process was at different times I released excerpts.
Yeah.
And I had this like blog that I did, and all
these
different things.
What I was following.
That was a while. That was like 2013, 2014 that I was doing that. Yeah. It was like I had all this knowledge, and I learned so much, it was an experience that was different than what like the preconceived ideas about homelessness was, and it was like there's something valuable here and I want to share it, but I don't know how exactly, so I just start putting it out there. Yeah.
I think you did it, man.
Yeah.
You can say
Yeah.
mission accomplished.
Yeah, so it's good, and I think about that community a lot, especially during this time because it's they're very vulnerable, uh,
Yeah,
and they're also very tough, and I think Americans in general we can use this time to get tougher, and we'll be brighter on the other side.
for sure.
Besides Homeless but Human, what's the most influential book you've ever read?
Man, that was the one. No, I'm surprised more people don't say the Bible. I don't know. I haven't heard that answer like on this podcast that I've listened to. But like that one certainly I feel like I was raised in the church and like super religious. So that was a tool that was used to like teach just like a bunch of different lessons.
Yeah.
Um that I feel like I've received and like utilize in my daily life or like will utilize if I haven't yet. I still feel like it's a useful tool, although I don't put as much weight on it or influence on it as I may have
But
previously in
it's
my life.
yeah, but even previously by it being an influential book, it's influenced who you became,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's probably it. There's also a book I read when I was like at DePaul in like math classes. This book called How Not to Be Wrong, I think it's called.
Okay. Please enlighten me on how to not be wrong.
Well, once you read it, the answer is not what you might think. But like, it's by this guy named Jordan Ellenberg, and he's actually like, I feel like he's like a super cool guy. I haven't met him, but like reading the book and like I started following him on Twitter. I like actually like wrote about the book while I was reading it, and he like wrote me back.
Wow.
Um,
That's cool.
he was like, I think he's like a professor in Wisconsin or something like that. But it basically is like about different applications of math, like a mathematical view of the world. So they break down things of like the math behind the lottery, just how math appears in like in the world,
Yeah.
in everyday life, and that's a perspective that I feel like a lot of people don't think about or like recognize. Before getting in the industry, like I went to school to teach math, so that is something that like I still am passionate about. I think it's really important beyond just like computation, just like realizing that people look at the world differently, and there's like in mathematics there's more than one way to like get to 4. Like you can say like 0 plus 4, 2 plus 2, like, so but you
That's such a
get
good
there.
analogy.
And that's one thing, like, when I realized that about, like, that's what I liked about math, or, like, that's, like, the lesson that I was getting that I wanted to, like, pass on to people, um, that certainly, like, influenced me and, like, and my life. I think that, even though I'm not teaching, that's something that I bring to, like, everything I do. And I approach situations differently, like, through that. So that book definitely like will
That's
lend
awesome.
some, lend some insight.
So, and even too, I'm thinking of like how if you have a vision for your life, there's a lot of ways you can take, and people have taken different ways,
Hmm.
and you just have to figure out what is the equation to get to the answer you want in a way.
Yeah, and like you might be able to like fuzz some stuff. Well,
Yeah.
if you have you're gonna have a 5, and I want to add a 5x, like inputs of bring in some different variables of like this is what I got going on. These are the things that I can change. These are the things that are still in question. It's yeah, dude.
I love it. Do you have what's something about you that few people know or understand?
Um, I really I believe in like the power of people. So I feel like in my like good enough isn't kind of thing, like we have a lot more potential that we haven't lived up to yet. And I think that of like everyone. I'm like, all right, this is where you are today, but you can be like so much more in a couple minutes or like tomorrow. But as enthusiastic as I am about that perspective,
Hmm.
that doesn't always come off across the right way. So sometimes where like I might not be I might not show as much enthusiasm towards like someone's achievement in that moment, or
Uh-huh.
like it it might be because I know like, all right, you're 3 times more capable, and I know you're gonna like do more, and
Yeah.
I like, or like I know that effort was like 50% of what you can be doing right now. So
Yeah.
I might be trying to like push that or pull that out of someone,
Hmm.
but it comes across as like, or like I think I'm better than you. I'm like, you're this good, and that comes up in the restaurant all the time. I'm like, I'm no better than you because I'm a manager. Like I've been a busser, I've been a bartender, I've been a server. Like I don't want to do your job. I also know I don't want to like nitpick and say this is exactly how you do it
Right.
because like part of it is figuring it out. So I feel like that's something that definitely gets like misunderstood or misconstrued, or like I want to be able to like better express myself in that way. And it's like it's not because I don't care. It's like because I do care about you, and I do think that you're like already up here. I think
Right.
that you're amazing, but like let's go. Let's
But like we could do even more.
right.
Yeah. I agree. Do you ever think that in the restaurant industry, service industry, we're actually in the people industry,
Yeah.
you know? Like and you're dealing with people and you want people to have a certain experience when they come into the restaurant and you want them to
Hmm.
feel a certain way and it's like what things can we do as a team and within our team how do we activate the most out of every individual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It like it I feeling that like it crushes me sometimes when I see like those missed opportunities to like enhance an experience. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like one of
Yeah.
my one of like my favorite managers I've ever had, he used to say that like working in a restaurant and like service is like a dance. And like once I started like looking at my environment like that, like it's like every single like step is like coordinated and like where this person like, you know, moves this way, like I move this
Yeah.
way, and it's just like a beautiful thing. So when you see like the missteps, you're like, oh, like I went.
Yeah.
It's like watching somebody like figure skate, and
And take a fall.
you're just like, is he gonna stick the landing? Like, or you can just see like amazing things, and sometimes you just see like some massive crashes, and you're just
Yeah.
like, if I could just like grab out my hand.
Oh man. The
But yeah,
service
it keeps
industry,
it.
for those out there that are listening, the service industry teaches you so much.
Yeah,
There's so much below the surface of it that will teach you about life and that you can
and
implement in your
yourself.
own. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. What's been a difficult moment in your life and how did you overcome it?
Ooh. Um, when I was thinking about like this question made me think about uh the time in which like my mom was sick a few years ago before she passed away. So she had like a couple different types of cancer that she actually went through throughout my life. And so I think the first time it was like some type of melanoma, and it was like treated, and like I was here in Chicago, but it was like in and out, just like done. So when she got something else, it kind of felt like it was the same kind of deal.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, and then like I realized on this one trip that I was visiting how serious it was, and that it wasn't the same kind of like, okay, this is gonna pass kind of thing. And at that moment, I was like, I realized like how much I needed to step up, especially when it, not even when it came to just like her health, but also just like in the relationships that I had with my family and my siblings. I kind of like alienated myself from my family before that, just like due to my own attitude or insecurity, immaturity. So like coming back and dealing with the greatest opportunity I've had to, kind of take responsibility for who I am and like
Hmm.
kind of prove myself in a way.
Yeah.
But like realizing how our differences that I thought, previously were like the worst thing ever, realizing how our differences were actually strengths
Hmm.
through that process really helped me out. Realizing that, like, as, funny as I want to be sometimes, like, how I can bring the seriousness into it, or how, the skills that I've developed, like being able to talk to different kinds of people, I could help my siblings out in different ways, and I could see the skills that they were bringing.
Yeah.
The strengths of like this person is a musical person, and like they're you know playing music, like they're you know kind of DJing our like life experience, like while the families gathered together, and
Yeah.
like even things like that. I feel like that was certainly the challenge, and I don't know how we overcame that or how I overcame
Yeah.
that.
It's like increasing your level of awareness too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's
absolutely,
good.
man.
Can you remember a time when you decided what kind of person you were going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember exactly what situations had occurred, but I feel like there were some times that I was lied to, um, or like I felt like I had been like bamboozled, and
Okay.
those were like moments where I was like, I'm never gonna be that person. Like
Hmm.
I feel like it's a choice for you to like be honest and open. Um, and those were times, like I think like two times in my life that I've like kind of reasserted that for me. I'm like, I'm gonna be a good person. I'm dedicated to like leaving a positive legacy behind me.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, just like I think it was like 10th grade was like probably the one of the first times that I was like, all right, this is who Evan is. Like I'm gonna mean it when I tell people like I don't lie, like because there's no reason to. It's like
Yeah.
it doesn't any situation. It causes a lot more negativity or like uncertainty if you have to like continue to keep up with lies that you
It's a lot
tell.
of
Like
work.
it's so much. I'm like, why? Just tell the truth, or like
Yeah.
you know for a long time, like I may have held off expressing myself how I wanted to. There were certain things that I didn't say, in a work environment, even if I felt a certain way. And I actually like I went to see Esperanza Spalding at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra,
Okay.
and I was like, so I forget where she's from. Maybe she's like Brazilian, or but she plays the bass and like sings. And I remember just being mesmerized by her bass and like looking at the F holes on this instrument. And somehow like I went home and like I looked up. I was like, what are these things? Like, what are these things? And like F holes, they like vibrations like move through an instrument, and it helps like sound come out. And I was like, this is incredible. And I actually ended up, I got F-hole tattoos on. I don't know if you can see. Like, can you see that?
Yeah. Oh, that's
Okay.
cool.
So I got a couple of these, and this is like, so it was like I decided I was like, I'm not ever gonna like stifle my voice, no matter what. If I have something to say, like it'll have been said. It can be received, however, like we can work around that. But like I was like I was just over just like letting stuff just like stay buried or like inside. So yeah, that I don't know. I feel like that was just like a time in my life when like that was in my head or on my heart or something like that.
Wow. That's pretty monumental. That is cool. Wow.
Yeah, so that's like who I am. Just like I'm gonna be honest with you always, good, bad, or indifferent, but like I'm still dedicated to learning and growing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Absolutely, dude.
All right. So the last question.
Okay.
After the pandemic passes, what's a positive result that you imagine could emerge?
Um, One thing I feel like the creativity that's come out of this, it's something that's like special that I think shouldn't just be forgotten. I think that if we continue to like realize and remember that you can like develop new skills all the time, or certain people like if you're interested, like there are certain passions that are worth pursuing. So I hope that people continue to like explore those things. I think that if we also choose to like see the benefit of all this time,
Hmm.
uh that I different countries or like cultures certainly like spend a lot more time in leisure or like dedicate a little bit more. They see the importance of having that time to get away or be quiet, and like as as we begin to like think about on a more global scale, I think
Hmm.
we can see how that could affect American culture. I think that things like the stimulus check and like those kind of things, seeing how government programs can work for certain like more people,
Hmm.
I think that we should continue to pursue those avenues
Hmm.
even after things go back to normal. It's like what are what are the good things, and then also just like working to correct the areas that the deficiencies that this is pointed out. How do we fix that?
Yeah, I agree. Good ideas. Good perspective.
I try, man.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate this. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have had fun as well. Like it's always great talking to you. You're such like a positive person. I continue to like check out your artwork and like the stuff from the new book.
Yeah. It's almost like perfect for the situation that we're in.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
and I never thought that a pandemic would happen or like, but all it is like, so coming back from living homeless, there's this like very long dark period of my life where,
Mm,
like with purpose and trying to find out, well, what does that mean? And, figuring out where you are in the world. And there's just like so much overthinking and there's so much distraction and stimulus all around us with our phones in our pockets and just everything.
yeah.
And it's like the more you understand about yourself. So then I had this like near death experience, and then
With the tractor?
yeah.
Yeah.
So then like that day I was like, I'm like trying to figure out like the purpose of life, and everything else in life kind of just crumbles and it's not important. And people spend most of their time, it's like time again, right? We're talking about time, and like most people spend their time and put ideas in their heads that aren't productive to their health or their like well-being, and it's
Hmm.
just they lose sight on like the overall goal should be like, we have one life to live. You should probably live it in your truest sense. I mean, there's tons of books and articles about how, someone's on their deathbed and the doctors and nurses write about the regrets that people have. And it's the same things over and over and over. It's like, I wish I didn't work so hard. I wish I was with my family more. I
Mhm.
wish I was, this is a big one. Like, I wish I had the courage to be myself. Isn't that
Yes.
wild? So why aren't we paying more attention to these regrets? It's like we're not focusing on the right things.
Right.
So the book is about making a concerted effort to live a fuller life, a richer life, and like through art, I never was really into art, and then now I like taught myself about art, and art is just like ideas, and it can be in various forms, and it's like, well, I can do that too, and then it's like, so I'll just do it through a book, and then I taught myself how to make the art, and I just go around, and now I see life. It teaches you that art and beauty is everywhere, and you just have to keep your eyes open and be aware for it. So I'm
Yeah.
on like the CTA, and something just like strikes my eyes, and I'm like, that's cool. Just going on walks in the city, it's like, oh wow, look at how many different brick styles there are in the city, and each brick has something to say about the story of Chicago and who we
Mhm.
are as a people and the culture here. It's just so fascinating to me.
It's awesome.
you know?
I'm so glad that like there's other people who like want to pursue that kind of beauty. It's like it's great, dude, to see you doing your thing.
Yeah. I
It's good.
appreciate that. I
Absolutely,
appreciate
man.
all the support. It's great. It's great feedback and great to hear, and yeah.
Yeah, we need to like encourage each other. It's definitely necessary.
Yeah. Chicago, I find, man, it's so supportive. The community is just so, everybody just wants to see each other do well, you know?
Yeah. I was
Cool.
I saw like your previous set of questions and I feel like I was thinking that about I think one question you ask is like if Chicago was gonna like be destroyed or something, like what's one thing that you would retain or something like
Yeah,
that?
like what characteristic would you choose to
And
keep?
so your last comment just had me thinking about that. Like here in the city, like everyone has like their thing, and then they have like a
Yeah.
side hustle. Like
Yeah.
there's such encouragement to like do your like passion or like find your passion,
Yeah.
explore that thing. Yeah, I definitely think that like I hope that we keep opening up avenues for people to just
Yeah.
like explore it.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, dude. Anytime.
Thanks for listening to Rich Conversations. Again, you can follow Evan at EVSal17. Have a wonderful weekend.